Listenerland, you have found the best car podcast you've never heard about. Or, yeah, I think some people may not have heard this, but we are heard around the world. Promise you, 2 people in Nepal have listened to us, which is fantastic. Thank you to our Nepalese listeners. If you want to be on the show, it's as easy as reaching out. This is To All the Cars I've Loved Before, your podcast where every car tells a story, every machine has a soul, every car has a culture. I am Christian at carslove.com. Yes, that's my real name. I changed it. It says it on my birth certificate. He is Doug at carslove.com. Good afternoon, partner. How you doing?
Hey, doing great. Good to be back here with you.
Now, are you still in your garage with Tim, who is a season 1 guy, inhaling gasoline fumes, trying to fix that fuel injector, or have you given up for the day, or was it sorted, or what?
So fuel injectors all checked out. Manual fuel injectors.
Hey,
a Bosch CIS injection system. So
lovely.
stuck all six in Gatorade bottles, thanks to my kids, and empty Gatorade bottles. Ran the fuel pump, did some measurements, also watched the spray, and everything was consistent. The amounts were the same. So was hoping to find one that was bad, but no go.
So when Gatorade says it has electrolytes, that has nothing to do with gasoline or brominated gasoline or anything like that, right? Okay,
don't drink the light yellow Gatorade. Not a good idea.
Yeah, that's not good. Today's theme, moving on quickly. I was so excited about today's guest. Today's theme, there's a tie-in. Our podcast goes back to school. So back to school, not Rodney Dangerfield, the classic movie from the 80s, but we're going to get serious. Fantastic movie. But we're going to get serious about options for young people out of high school. We're going to talk about a hybrid of trade school, tech school, college, 2-year degree, 4-year degree, and then job placement thereafter. If you are young and you are in Utah, you came to the right show, because we're so excited about it.
Yeah. Along with don't forget continuing ed, because I'm always thinking about going back to school.
Yeah, everybody can always
even at 50.
Lifelong learner, except for me. I don't need to. I know it all already. So
I know. I've heard.
We have a new section. Where are they now? But it's really kind of what are previous guests up to recently. So can we give 30 seconds to this here? We got a lot going on. We can hit a couple things. I can talk about my son, but I want to hear about season 1. One of our favorite episodes, Brian Paoni, who's also a writer, and he's coming up. He did something interesting. Doug, tell us a little about that.
Yeah. So Brian, being the very creative guy that he is, he was down in Missouri, and he just knocks out books left and right. He spent, 9 overnight nights in a abandoned / I don't know how abandoned it was, but certainly shut down old penitentiary in Missouri. And he brought his computer in there, and he just rode away. And he's going to have a book, I believe it's coming out in 2025, called These Walls Still Talk. And he's actually going to have the book review, or book coming out party, if you will, at the penitentiary. So, we'll try and post that in our show notes, but what a creative guy.
He is just a complete creative genius. Yeah, and his books are kind of this tech noir, sci-fi thriller, just
Cyberpunk.
Interesting stuff.
Yep.
Yeah, really good stuff. Speaking of very interesting people, my son, who was on an episode a week or 2 ago, goes to school at George Mason University in the D.C. area, and also in the Army Reserves. Qualified. We had him talking about a Humvee that he drove during drill one weekend, and he just passed his weapons qualifications past weekend. So you want to talk about that. So calls to action. We don't need to spend a whole lot of time on this today, as we're going to get back to pivot back to the show theme in a minute here. But hey, every car has a culture.com, resolve to carslove.com. If you're new to the show, check out carslove.com. And remember that you can get to everything by way of Apple Podcasts, Spotify. We have stood up a YouTube presence, which is making a little buzz there. You may want to start, though, by hitting up the link tree, linktr.ee/cars loved. And that'll give you all of our presences: Instagram, Facebook, Spotify, Apple. What else? We mentioned YouTube.
Castro, the Pod Friend, I think. There are so many. We're on all of them.
We're
including
everywhere.
YouTube Music.
Heard around the world. So, and if you like what you're hearing, tell a friend, email us with if you want to be on the show, any show ideas, feedback. We love it. We love it. All right. So let's revisit today's show theme so that we can introduce our guests. As we mentioned, back to school. Back to school. Doug, any back to school stories from you? What did we learn?
What did we learn? So I learned at least college initially was not for me, and I went off and did really kind of a trade, kind of unofficial trade, network engineering, which is now a not real engineering, but now that's available in colleges as a 2-year degree, thanks to former employer Cisco Academy. There are so many options, but go back 30 years ago, there weren't. So I took some classes and got a certification and
the
got
rest
my first
is history.
job.
Fantastic. Yeah. And now when I went to college, I studied things that are really valuable in the workplace these days: poetry, socialism in classical Greece,
and screenwriting.
Basket weaving was a little beyond me, but yeah, I mean, so basically, what does any of that have to do in the tech field at a major financial institution? Nothing. So that brings me to today's guests, who have a heck of a story. I would like to introduce Cade and Dallas. Gentlemen, how are you today?
Doing good. How about you?
Doing so well. Thank you for joining us. And the reason these young men came across our radar is that they're involved at a program in Weber State. Cade is an instructor, Dallas is a student, where, as we were talking about earlier, trade school, tech school, college collide. It's a hybrid program. You can get a 2-year degree in automotive science, a 4-year degree, a bachelor's, and they get you ready for the world. I am so pumped up about this program. If you could tell us a little bit about your life arc and story, Cade, of what brought you to this program and what it's done for you, and then we'll bring Dallas in after we hear from you.
Yeah, of course. So, kind of like Doug, I graduated high school, went to Utah State University, only ended up going there for a semester and decided college wasn't for me. Ended up going back 5 years later, but over that 5-year period, became an automotive technician and decided I needed to advance my knowledge a little bit. So was talking to a few guys at the shop. One of them was a gentleman named Scott Holland. He ended up telling me to go to Weber State, looked into it, ended up enrolling there. Studied there for I only thought I was going in for my associate's degree because I was like, oh, I'm going to stay as a technician and stuff. But as I stayed there at the college, started getting some industry contacts, decided to go on for my 4-year. After my 4-year, ended up graduating and going out to Ford Motor Company, and then coming back to Utah over COVID and securing a job at Weber State University as an instructor.
That is fantastic. Now, wait a minute. Yeah, so how long did it take you to get a job at Ford? Was that easy? Was that hard?
Oh, so my interview process at Ford, I always say it was one of the hardest interviews of my life, mostly because of the length. I was in a job interview for 3 hours. It was the only job interview I've been in that had a water break in between.
Whoa.
But as for preparing me to go out to Ford, Weber State had great industry contacts, and still does. Ford would come out every semester and they would present what job positions they had and all that. And I would keep talking to the recruiters. They'd come out with some of their teammates and talk about with like alumni, because they've hired Weber State students before. So they'd bring back alumni and we'd talk to them and they talk about how great Ford was and everything. So after 4 years of talking to them, I decided, I was like, okay, I'm going to Ford. And I had Dallas, the other guest on this here that I brought with me. He was classmate with me, and ended up coming out to Dearborn, Michigan, to Ford Motor Company with me as well.
Perfect segue. He's a segue machine, ladies and gentlemen. Dallas, good afternoon. How are you?
Hello, hello. It's nice to be here.
Hey, man, it's great to have you. So let's hear a little bit about your story and how you came to know Cade.
Okay, so I was actually blessed enough to have a high school instructor that was very involved at Weber. His name's Ed Scherner. So I was actually a student before I even had graduated high school. And then I went into the program right after high school, and that's where I met Cade. Um, we were classmates for a while. We
Gotcha.
got our associate's degrees together, and I actually went off and did some traveling, working for a couple of years. Cade got his bachelor's. I had actually come back home by then, and that's when we both interviewed for Ford. My interview was only 2 hours. Sorry, Cade, and I didn't get water. But we both got hired. We both moved out about the same time. We both worked until COVID hit. COVID hit. We moved back home. I actually kept working for Ford until 2022, and Cade went off and did his thing. I graduate this spring, and I'm actually hoping to become an instructor at Weber as well.
Excellent.
Love that. Love that. And before I hand over to Doug here, if you want to see, as soon as you're done listening to this interview, let's put it that way, check out PBS NewsHour. They aired a segment. It's about a 7-minute segment on October 7th, 2024, about the program these gentlemen are talking about. Okay. And it's under there. So go to pbs.com/newshour. Just type in Rethinking College. Okay. Weber State University in Layton, Utah. That's WEBER State University in LAYTON, Utah. And a couple of quick notes before I hand it over here, Doug. The automotive program is in the same building as the computer science department. Very telling. Work hand in glove. As Cade was saying, when we were chatting with him, there's really no distinction between automotive and IT anymore. The two are one and the same. And in the piece that you can see on PBS's NewsHour site, the sign in front of the building says the College of Computer and Automotive Engineering, which I think is just so fantastic. I'll let Doug talk about how he reached out to the program here. Yeah. And you're going to hear about how major automotive employers will come and talk to these gentlemen. But go ahead, Doug.
Yeah. No, thank you, Christian. Yeah, I was watching PBS NewsHour, as I have done quite recently, and sitting there with my girlfriend, and I see Cade's face pop up. I didn't know him, and he's talking about the automotive tech program, and I just thought it was wonderful. There was a segment on, there was also part of that segment on women in automotive tech. Being an IT guy, there was a good discussion about the crossover between computer science and automotive technology, and I'm a EV owner as well, so as well as a old car owner, so it's pretty interesting to see. And I just thought to myself, had I been 30 years younger or so, like I would have loved to have been in a program like that. And then so I reached out to Jessica Slater, I think is her name. She is the department chair, and she gave me several contacts, including Cade and another one of his colleagues we're going to have on the show very soon, and along with one of his students. And it was just, it was really inspiring. And just for what it's worth, since then I've talked to a museum curator who the museum also donates money to help with automotive tech programs done by Pennsylvania Tech. And, I just love what you guys are doing. I mean, it's turning a trade into a career, and there's definitely a crossover with computer science and just making it more interesting, right? And cars can do, as a Tesla owner, my car can do so many things that you wouldn't think possible. And it's overwhelming, right? And thank God it has a warranty. But if it didn't, I'd be taking it down to you guys and I'd get it fixed. But with that, it was a great segment, and it really opened my eyes. And as I said, and then next thing you know, I'm talking to the St. Michael's Car Museum, and they have a similar program. where they work with colleges and help the students. So it's great to hear.
And yeah, so I have 3 sons that are about to start making that thought process and move through high school and into college. And it's an interesting discussion when you say to someone who's young these days, who has the world at their fingertips in any given device, you're bombarded with so much. You get to see the whole world. So, okay, what do you want to do? What is your next step? And I took 2 of my younger ones, I have 3 sons, took my 2 younger ones to a college fair. And it's very overwhelming. You see more and more trade schools there. So I want to pivot to Dallas and ask, what do you like most about the program? What do you like most about it? And what lights you up when you think about where you go to school?
Definitely the knowledge base.
Okay.
I mean, as soon as you walk in there, you can tell they're world class. And then all you need to do is talk to one of the instructors. You can tell that they know what they're doing. And there's just really not a better place to be if you want to learn about cars. So that's definitely the most appealing thing to me.
I like that.
I don't think I could be better off anywhere else.
I like that. What a glowing endorsement. And from the piece, you can see in this classroom, it is hands-on. I mean, engine parts are everywhere. And so, Cade, tell us a little bit about when a new student comes in and for the first hand gets there, walks through the door and is just like a kid in a candy shop with all the tactile things there where you can get your hands dirty.
So it really opens up with orientation, and this is really where we show them what they're getting into. We have a brand new building. It's about 3 years old at this point, going on 4 years. So we have the latest and greatest equipment in that building. So we open you up through the door. We show you our main service shop area where we teach the bulk of our classes. You'll see anything in there from Teslas to old. Right now, there's a 65 Chevelle SS in there. There's a Tesla with a battery removed in it. There's a Triumph that we're converting to EV. And then there's our normal instructor cars that we teach all of our normal equipment on. And then you walk through another set of double doors, and then you enter into the engines lab that on the PBS special you would see. That's where we house all our engines, and that's where the students tear down engines. They do manual drivetrain in there as well. So they do manual transmissions, axles, T-cases. From there, you go into our electronics lab where they get in-depth knowledge on Ohm's law. They learn electrical faults. They learn how to diagnose them, and they learn what causes them. And then then kind of comes to our showpiece and what Weber State is currently known for, which is our EV program. You open up into another set of double doors that are locked away, and kind of right now it's windows are covered and everything because of the current curriculum that's being developed in there. But you would open it up, and in there is about, like I said, 20 cars in there that are EV, hybrid, anything from Teslas to Toyotas to Fords, Subarus, open batteries from these vehicles out there. We have Chevy Volt batteries, open drive units. So this lab, you can fully explore the inner workings of an EV and full electric or hybrid vehicle.
Fantastic. So learning about these different engines, motors, drivetrains, et cetera, are they sort of different classes? Are they almost electives? Are they linear fields of study or certificates that you can get?
So they are sectioned off. You can get a certificate if you do all the level 1 courses. But how it works is you would start with us in the fall. So in the fall is when you would start off with your introductory courses. So you'd get your automotive introductory course, you would do engines, and you would do your electrical courses. Then from there, it's a very structured pathway to get you graduated because of how the courses are laid out. So we always start our students in the fall so they can finish in 2 years. So every fall, the classes are the same. Every spring, the classes are the same, and et cetera, as they go through their program.
Dig that. And can you say one word about the boot camp or the boot camp program now? Is that the continuing ed portion?
Yeah, so that's our continuing ed portion. So we offer our full EV boot camp. This is a 2 online courses, and then once you complete your 2 online courses, you'll go in for a 5-day boot camp with John, and he will teach you the inner workings of drive units. You'll drop batteries out of vehicles. You will learn the inner workings of all these vehicles, so you'll be comfortable working on them. Now, we've had engineers from various makes and models, or manufacturers. We've had Ford, Hyundai engineers come out. We've had instructors come out. We've had even first responders come out, and we've teach them some of the military as well. So
I love that.
A unique thing we do offer, though, is that we are able to turn this into college credit. So if you wanted to continue on with your education, we would actually roll these certificates into your bachelor's degree and give you credit for it.
Oh, wow.
Now, if you wanted to continue on, say if you needed a bachelor's degree for your next step or whatever, in life, if you need it for career advancement or just looking for fulfillment, you can take your automotive associate's degree and your automotive ASEs, and we can vet them out and apply them towards an AS or an associate's degree to get you up towards a bachelor's degree.
Got it. Fantastic. And thank you for sharing a bit of your experience here and in your life's journey, especially as it went through Weber State and has served you both so well. So we will have on our presences, as we load up this, links to the program and links to Weber State, so you can see exactly what we're talking about here. But so now, one thing I bet you don't have in the Engine Lab, greatest name for a classroom of all time, is the Wayback Machine, a time machine. And I'm going to put both Cade and Dallas in it because we're going to go back to your first cars in Dallas. Let's pivot to you. How did it all start? Your automotive journey.
So, my senior year in high school, one of my classmates had a 2002 Mustang. It was black and manual. He didn't really like it. He wanted a truck. And when he was talking about selling it, I scooped it up. It was V8 and everything, and I drove that for a year after I went straight to Weber after high school. And then after my first year, I thought I was smart enough, and I put a turbocharger system in it and built the engine for it, increased the displacement, and ruined it essentially. Made it really fast, and I built a race car. And I had that for a very long time until recently. And now I'm just driving around a Range Rover. And I love that thing to death.
Yeah. So there's a great story, and it's close to home, right? What happened to your Mustang?
So I really didn't drive it that much. Honestly, it is scary. I mean, it was like driving a rocket ship. No driver assist at all, ABS, power brakes, nothing. So I wasn't really scared of it. I just didn't drive it a lot. And it sat in my driveway, and I'd have people come by and knock on my door, asking about it. Cause I was getting to that age, frankly. I've had the car for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
And I was telling Cade about it one day, and he just said, well, I'll buy it. And so I sold it to him, and that was it. And he's got it now.
Nice. And it's still with him. That's
Yes.
Awesome. That is awesome. So tell us about the Range Rover, right? Obviously quite a different ride from your Mustang.
Right.
Still fast though. Tell us.
Actually, very fast. So when we moved to Michigan, I actually paid to ship the Mustang over, and I had a E90 BMW that I was driving around as a daily driver, a car that was actually functional. But the roads were so bad that in the 10 months that we were commuting there before COVID, I blew 5 tires and cracked a wheel on that poor BMW. And so it just got to the point where, it's just financially feasible to have something else. So I started shopping for, something with off-road capabilities for the roads in Michigan. And I stumbled across that Range Rover. It was cheaper because it had been crashed twice. But,
oh dear.
Yeah, but it has the 5-liter supercharged engine. It makes 500 horsepower. It's triple black, trim interior, outside, all of it. It's just a ton of fun. I love it to death. everyone kind of cringes when I say I drive a Land Rover, but it's never broken. And I've had
Oh,
it I've had it probably 3 or 4 years now.
what year's the Rover? Sorry.
It's a 2011.
Okay.
So the
Very
chassis is
cool.
L322.
Got it.
And,
If you're thinking of a Range Rover, the box one, it's that one.
Got
Mhm.
you.
the
Gotcha.
fast box
It's-
on wheels.
It's very fast.
Yep. Yep.
The only problem is it's an SUV. So if you go around a turn, it feels like you're going to roll it, even if you're going 30.
Okay.
But in a straight
mods
line.
to it yet, Dallas?
There's just not much out there.
Okay,
I've done a lot of shopping, and I did find there's a company that does a pulley with like an ECM mod, but you get like 50 horsepower, and they want like $5,000 for it.
Yeah.
He doesn't need to
I think I'm
modify
gonna,
this
yeah, I
thing.
think
It's
I'm gonna
like-
leave it alone.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
I know as soon as
Well,
I modify it, it's
he
gonna
looked
blow the
into
blower
it.
out.
He
the
looked
head.
Yeah,
into it.
I did look.
He looks
I
like
did look.
Darth Vader driving down the street with the triple black. So he's a bad man. We all know.
He's good. He's good. So part of the Wayback Machine, somewhere in the middle, right? You had a Crown Vic, maybe more than one. Ford
Right.
Crown Victoria.
Right. So during all the years between the Mustang and the Rover, I had to have a car that I could actually drive because the Mustang was a full-blown race car. Sometimes it was a Pontiac Grand Am that had a
Oh yeah.
rusted out exhaust.
Oh yeah.
That was sweet. I drove that for a while. Then I got a 2011 Crown Vic. I paid $1,000 for it and only had like 1,000 miles on it. And
Wait a minute. How's that possible?
I know. It was an amazing car.
Fantastic. Okay.
Absolutely beautiful. And I got rid of it because I decided that having a BMW would be cooler. So I got my first E90 after that. And that was when I started doing the traveling. I worked for a company called Vivint. And I lived in Texas and I worked for them. And I put that BMW into a wall like the third day I was down there. And some poor lady crashed into me. So I ruined that car really fast. And at that time, I'm in Texas. I live in Utah, so I'm away from home. I just moved, so I don't have any money. So I go out and I buy the cheapest POS I can find, and it just happens to be another Crown Vic that had been spray painted black. The lights would randomly turn off. Not like all of the lights, not just the headlights. The engine would keep running. The wipers would randomly turn on. And
Gremlins.
I just drove that for the whole summer.
Mhm.
That I was working down there and got rid of it. I got another BMW after that, and I got rid of that pretty recently. But that's about the full story. And
Yeah.
I got the Range Rover after that. That's been my daily ever since.
Gotcha. And what would be your next car, or what will be your next car?
So I'm a senior at Weber State, and we have to do a senior project called a capstone project.
Nice.
The essentially contributes to the knowledge of automotive. And my plan is to build a car. So I want to get a second or third gen Coyote Mustang, so 2015 or newer.
Okay.
And I found a computer that can hijack an HDMI input into the sync screen. So I want to install that, and then I want to install a computer in the trunk that runs Windows. In the recent years, they've made just little box PCs that are super powerful. And I'm going to run that, and I'm going to run that to the sync screen, and I'm going to have that do the tuning and run some other software and stuff. And then I'm going to put a twin turbo system in the car. And I'm going to use the computer that's on board in the car to tune the twin turbo system. I also plan to do an airlift performance system on like airbags and stuff. And I hopefully I can get the computer to control it all.
Okay.
So that's going to be built in the spring, hopefully. And right now I'm just working on paying for it.
Right. And you get to use all the tools and facility of Weber for that project, right?
Yeah. I'm going to be allowed to build it in the shop, which is way more fun than laying on the ground.
Yep.
And between the electrical knowledge and the mechanical knowledge, I can build a Windows powered twin turbo Mustang,
Mm-hmm.
because that's just the kind of thing that Weber teaches you. Well, not specifically, but the knowledge that Weber gives you.
That's only for the second semester evil geniuses amongst us.
Yeah,
but
that's
I mean, it's doable.
Well, there is a crossover with computer science, right?
Very much so. Very much.
Cade and Dallas, yeah.
Yeah, so there's a big crossover between computer science and automotive. So now you guys are dealing with, well, us as automotive technicians, and you guys as consumers are dealing with Ethernet cables in vehicles, and we have CAN communication lines and all the modules. Like, your vehicle can now have upwards of 100 modules in your vehicle that all need to communicate with each other. So you have to be able to diagnose that, as well as still your base engine concern of misfires and drivability concerns, squeaks and rattles, suspension clunks, and all that good stuff too.
And now that we've pivoted to Mr. Cade, how did it all start for you?
How did it all start for me?
It was a pretty amazing Dodge Neon, right?
Yep. So when I was 16, my automotive career started with a 1997 Dodge Neon Sport. It had dual overhead cam in it, so that's what made it a sport. Made my insurance go up a little bit higher because of the sticker on the side of the car.
Love it.
Ended up driving that for probably about a year and a half. After about a year of owning it, though, my reverse went out and ended up having to park it in places that I can either pull forward or just pull it back out of the football or out of the stall. I was a football player, so it really wasn't that big of a deal. It was a light car. So, but yeah, started off with that. Ended up getting selling that for $3 to my uncle. We then moved into a 1991.
Did you say $3?
Oh yeah.
How did that happen?
So that happened because it was I bought my Blazer, and then that car just sat off to the side of my house, just more or less gathering dust. And my uncle came by and he's like, "Hey, are you wanting to get rid of that car?" And I was like, "Yeah." And he's like, "Well, how much?" And I was like, "How much do you have in your wallet?" And he opens it up and he's like, $3. And I was like, "Yeah, sure, I'll take it." And he drug it out of there, put it on a trailer, and took it and fixed the transmission in it, and drove it for a little while. Ended up getting in an accident with a Jeep and getting that fixed, and then blew the head gasket on it and wiped out the timing belt, and they decided that was enough for the Neon. So the Neon lived a very generous life after I was done with it, of course, after abusing it as a high school kid. So but yeah, then I got my Blazer. The Blazer opened up a little more doors for me because it was 4-wheel drive. So started doing some off-roading a little bit there. Here in Box Elder County, before they started building the houses more and stuff up on the side of the mountain, there was a dirt bike track up there, and me and a few of my friends in high school were just up there messing around, and we were doing a little bit faster than probably what we should have on the side of the mountain. Turns out we ended up right into one of those dirt bike tracks, and I ended up jumping my Blazer probably about 30 feet, maybe getting about 6 foot of air out of it. Landed it. My buddy just pulled up next to me. He's like, "Are you all right?" And I was like, "I think so." And got out, looked the Blazer over, and still in one piece, still drove fine. No clunks or rattles, anything after that. So the Blazer held in strong.
You never told Mom.
Did you turn around and do it again?
Oh no, I was a little scared after that one. I mean, gotcha. Scared. I mean, a surprise jump scares anyone a little bit.
Well, speaking of surprise jumps, you jumped over a 2004 car that you owned, and this one really excites me. Now was this one black too?
So this is the start of all my black vehicles. Was this car?
Okay,
there we go.
So, now they call them like vision boards or dream boards or whatever, the ones where you put your goals and stuff on the boards of your school, where you're like, "Hey, this is what I want to achieve." You can put your house up there, cars, whatever you want to achieve, your life goals that they want you to do. Well, I did one when I was a sophomore in my computer sciences class, funny enough. And I put a 2004 Pontiac GTO on there.
Oh, yeah.
And she's seen it, and I was black and everything. It was the car I wanted. And she's like, "Oh, that car is too expensive. You won't have that." And I was like, "Oh, okay. Well, whatever. We'll see." So I held on to that little notion she told me. anyways, fast forward into graduation day. As a graduation gift to myself, the day before graduation, I went out and bought me a black 2004 Pontiac GTO with the black interior that I've always wanted.
My
I drove
goodness.
that to my graduation. And I showed
Fantastic.
my
Look at you.
instructors a picture of it in the parking lot. And I was like, look, this is what's parked outside.
Yeah, hence the vision board, man. When somebody
Right.
tells you you can't do something, you put it up there on the vision board. You look at it every morning, and that's fantastic. Drove it to
We used to call that
graduation.
the 5-year plan, right? Or what did we call it? The list?
I don't know, but
5-year
vision board
list.
just sounds so much better.
No, that's
it. Really does.
I agree. Totally.
Oh yeah. But so that's drove that for a few years, but at that time is when I started really getting more and more into mechanics. So growing up, I really like to just tinker on things. So I always like to modify and just take things apart and rebuild them. So like I've built PCs, guns, and stuff like that too. So I just like to take things apart and build them and modify them. Well, I found out that I could do that with cars. I can express myself on visually with cars.
Love
I can
that. Yeah.
modify them. I can take them apart, do things to the motor to make it faster, raise it, lower it, do whatever. Freedom of expression with cars. You can do anything you want with them.
Yeah,
So
it's funny you mention that. We've had people on the show in their car is their art. It's a piece of performance art. It's a piece of themselves. And you can drive that thing from here to Alaska and everybody knows, something about you every time you drive by. So funny you mentioned that you like to tinker, etc. Can you talk for just a little bit as we wind the show down here about what you did at Ford?
yeah. So at Ford, after graduating, I ended up working for the Technical Assistance Center. So that's the center that is like if dealerships can't fix their car, technicians are having issues and they need like a different set of eyes or a different perspective on something, they can shoot us an email or call us. So I was the guy on the other end helping the techs fix your guys' trucks when they were down for an extended period of time. I was the guy on the other end of the phone when they're saying, hey, I need to contact Ford for help. That's me. And my commodities were sync and module programming, hybrid EV, and so module programming, audio, and EV.
Gotcha. Good deal.
So, and then did that, and then COVID ended up hitting, and after that, worked back at a dealership for a little while as a service writer, and then got the call for Weber State to go be an instructor.
In full circle, and it all came full circle. Well, what do you think, Doug? Do you have anything further? Any more thoughts to add?
Well, I have a little piece of trivia, and this is more for Christian. By the way, Christian owned a 07 Pontiac Solstice, the Miata of GM, as I call it.
So much fun. And that didn't end well either for me. But go ahead.
You're not a rear wheel drive guy. Let's in the range.
Maybe not.
Let's just say that.
Nobody is.
But so two pieces of automotive trivia. Christian knows one of these. So John DeLorean came up with the Pontiac GTO. I don't know if you guys knew that. The original GTO, and it was actually an option package because at the time GM you couldn't have a car with an engine that was either so big or had so much horsepower. So they made it an option on the Pontiac Tempest, I believe, in '64. And then it sold like gangbusters. And so it became the Pontiac GTO.
There you go.
Now, I believe in 04-ish, right? The GTO was reborn, brought back. And
04 to 06.
Yeah. And I wanted to ask Christian if he knows. But I'm going to ask Cade to answer if he doesn't. Christian, where was the Pontiac GTO built?
Pontiac, Michigan.
Cade?
Not this one. This was built in Australia. It's a rebranded Holden Monero.
Yes. Yeah. Yes. Oh, yeah, that's right.
Yep. And that was not...
I read about that.
G8 is a rebranded Commodore and etc.
Good pull.
Yep.
These guys, man.
Yep.
Know it all.
Well, we can stump you, but not them.
Well, you know what I think? I think Cade and Dallas need their own podcast. But can it please not be about cars? We don't need the competition. But I got to tell you, it was so nice meeting both of you and having you on the show. So impressed. Thank you for telling us all about Weber State. And it was just great having you on.
Yeah.
Of course. Thanks for having us.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah,
Awesome.
thanks. We're looking forward to talking to your colleague and one of his students. Actually, we're going to do the recording tomorrow, so that'll be fun. So you guys had the hard part.
Oh, the maiden voyage for Weber State.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, we're huge fans of Weber. What you guys are doing, PBS NewsHour, man, it's the gift that keeps giving. So.
Oh yeah.
Who would have thought? And thanks to Jessica and everybody for
thank you to Jessica.
Responsiveness. Yep.
That's right.
Yep.
So we would love to have you guys back maybe in a future season as we hurdle through. I forget what season we're in. We're either buttoning up a season. Depends. We have a lot of episodes in post-production right now. We sort of slice and dice and throw them out there however the evil genius Doug sees fit. So we just so pleased to have you on. I would like to have you on in a future season to see Cade and Dallas where you are. So what do you think, gents? Maybe do it in a year or two?
Yeah.
Yeah, we can for sure do that.
Thank you guys so much.
We'll hear about the capstone project and see where you guys are.
Yeah, you hear how it went.
Oh yeah, we'll have to add on to our stories. We got plenty of them.
Well, good luck to you both.
Can't wait. Yep, and feel free to email us. Right, you guys have our emails because Christian will repeat them shortly if you don't.
It's what I do. I'm a broken record. You have just heard the high revving, low mileage, late model, heard around the world automotive, authoritative automotive podcast on automotive nostalgia. He is Doug at carslove.com. I am Christian at carslove.com. There were Cade and Dallas. If you like the show, please follow and tell a friend. That's how we can keep the velocity, the inertia going. Hey, if you want to be a guest on the show, go to our link tree. And hey, it's as easy as just sending an email, setting up a time, and we'll make it happen. Again, check out our link tree, linktr.ee/carslove.com. It's a bit like the old yellow pages, but I like to think of it as our switchboard. I'm sure we'll see you at the next local car show. And again, thank you for listening. Keep the rubber side down, and we will see you next week. Thank you, listener land.